Well, hello you bearded bastards, and welcome back once again to Kruggsmash, Honeystoker. And for the time being, the dwarves are in a bit of a panic, because you may remember that at the end of last episode, we received an utterly terrifying letter from Moses, the wild boar man, who was once our noble benefactor, and who also kind of serves as our eyes to the world. Now that letter had mentioned something particularly nasty about the torment of witches, and the fact that they've somehow been poisoning booze as supplies for other dwarven hillocks in the area. From the sounds of it, nobody knows how it's happening, but it has been happening enough for us to be a bit concerned about it. Now down here in our alcohol stockpile, I have forbidden all of these barrels, so we're not going to have any dwarves drinking any of our alcohol for now. Just to be safe, we wouldn't want to risk something like that, and instead for a while we're going to have to be relying on our well water over here. Now bear in mind the water down there isn't very fresh because it's not fed from a brook or other water source, but we do have this pipeline up above that can feed fresh water to the well if it runs dry. And on top of that we do have our agitation lever over here that the dwarves can pull to kind of mix up the water a bit. Remember that we had installed some wooden spikes at the bottom of the well when we first dug it out, and that lever there is forcing those spikes to go up and down kind of rapidly. And you know, that'll mix the water up a bit and make it taste a bit better. That was Moses' idea too. I'll tell ya, that guy's a lifesaver. Big time. Now then, we're gonna step back just a little bit from the whole role-playing thing I've been doing. Because remember at the very beginning of this series I said that I had intended this fortress to be a vampire fortress. Remember that? Way back when? Now looking down to the bottom of our well, we see a goblin named Ak, or Snamaz. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'd suggest watching the prologue. There's a little bit of backstory in there. Anyways, this goblin was thrown down here by Moses, the wild boar man. And this goblin here is in fact a vampire. And how he became a vampire was by drinking vampire blood, fed to him by Moses. Now the idea of this well, that was constructed from plans written up by Moses by the way, is that this goblin down here will be punctured by the agitation spikes that come up from the bottom of the well, which will then in turn release his blood into the water, which will then in turn change the dwarves into vampires when they drink the bloody water. Now up top in this lever room, you can see dwarves are rapidly pulling this lever, and so those spikes are being poked into Ak. Or rather they were anyways, because if you look here next to him you can see a mechanism, which is from that trap, and I do believe it broke, which is actually terrible news. But you can also see over here there is some blood in the water now, or at least on the wall, but I don't think that's going to be enough to infect dwarves. But I suppose time will tell on that front. We're just going to keep things going like this for now to see what happens. The dwarves are not going to be happy not being able to drink alcohol, so we're not going to be able to keep this up forever, I don't think. We'll just have to keep our eyes open and see if anything eventually happens. However, in the meantime, I guess we're just going to keep going about business as usual, getting the fortress in order, that sort of stuff. We do still have a few projects going on, like our entryway here, still getting that nicened up, as well as a Tower of Memories, of course, coming right along. Remember that at one point the dwarves considered making it sort of a residential tower for Moses, at some point in the future anyways, and he did make it kind of sound like in his letter that he was hoping to visit at some point in the future, and I'd have to assume that at this point they'd be very grateful to the guy, and it would be a pretty good project to get their minds off the current no drinking situation. So yeah, they'd probably want to busy themselves trying to get this place nicened up, right? Yeah, definitely. We'll have to try to get finished up ASAP. We'd have to make it at least so it comes up over the treetops. That'd be pretty awesome. Oh, and that's right, we did mention making a tavern in the fortress too, as well as that idea of raising our population a bit. But of course that was before our drink situation. Well, no matter. I'm sure the dwarves would still want to consider making a new tavern. Again, a little something to get their minds off the current terrifying situation. And let's have a look here, it's the 14th of Malachite, 282, Midsummer. So that means we've been without alcohol now for a couple months, and I haven't yet started seeing any negative effects. Not really anyways. However, that being said, a couple of the new dwarves are pretty upset, but I don't think it's related to alcohol withdrawal. Like this dwarf here, Urvad, our animal trainer, well, she's experiencing a bit of a mental breakdown, and I have a feeling it's just because it's how her mind works. Down here we could see that she becomes completely helpless in stressful situations, and this was a change after seeing the human Snowdub Fellhorror's dead body in 280, which is this corpse over here, one of those human snatchers who came a while back. Kind of a damn shame, really. She just happened to see this dead body out in the woods, and it has permanently affected her like that. See, I'm really thinking that some dwarves are just beyond help when it comes to that sort of stress. And really, I don't even think alcohol can help her at this point. Damn shame. No, well, yep, just a bunch of dwarves doing the best we can, I guess. It really stinks that they can't drink any of their alcohol, but I suppose it's for the best. By the way, I've been keeping an eye out and I haven't seen any sort of vampiric activity quite yet. And I'm pretty sure that's the only way we're gonna find out if there are any vampires in the fortress. Just by looking, that is. Oh, and you know what? I just noticed it is the 1st of limestone yet again. And I suppose we all know what that means. It is time for a very dry autumn festival. Ooh, that is an ugly prospect right there. Yikes. Well, again, I suppose you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Alright, you dwarves, let's go. It's time for the autumn festival. And let's just try to make the best of it, okay? I know it's really not gonna be the best affair this year, but you just gotta do what you gotta do. And really, you gotta hand it to these dwarves. They're all being very good about not touching this alcohol here. Most likely due to a combination of terror and understanding. Yeah, that would do the trick, I'll bet. That being said, at this point, now that the dwarves don't have to run around doing all sorts of labor, they're probably discussing this whole no alcohol situation. And they're most likely leaning towards the fact that it doesn't really make a ton of sense. I mean, how could the goblins poison all this alcohol that was produced in the fortress? Yeah, that doesn't really add up, does it? And although I do hate to think that some of the dwarves are suspecting one another, well, I suppose that could very well be the case. I mean, up to this point, Moses the Boar Man is the one to have given them this entire fortress. He gave them their start, and then also gave them their freedom. Oh, and all those artifacts too, can't forget that. And he's really shown no ill will at all towards these dwarves, so they have no reason to not believe him. And although I'm sure they don't like it, I'll bet they're still willing to go along with his warnings. It's most likely those new migrants who don't really believe in this unseen wild boar man benefactor, but they're just a minority for now. Oh, I just noticed looking down in the well here, that the water seems to be getting a little shallow. It's about half full now, so I figure while the dwarves are down in the meeting hall, we should fill it back up. Yeah, let's go for it. I'll just have a dwarf pull this lever here. There we go. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have them pull it again before I even leave this screen. Let's watch. And there's the water. A lot of water. And I imagine it's full now. Oh yes, all the way full. Fantastic. Kind of a strange but effective system. It seems to be working out pretty well. No pun intended. Back down here in the meeting hall, and well, it looks like our animal trainer is still a bit depressed. Like, she's in a bad way too. And I really don't think she's gonna be coming back from this. And I know I was saying that we should kick dwarves like that out, but I don't know. Maybe I've been softening a bit. She hasn't been around for that long. I suppose she could still turn around, right? Maybe. We'll just let it go a little while longer. I don't want to have to kick her out. I really don't. Other than that, it looks like the dwarves are doing pretty well. For the most part, there's a couple more stressed dwarves, but none as bad as her, thankfully. Oh, would you look at that? It has just become winter. And so, dwarves, it is time to get back to work. Let's get to it. The Autumn Festival of 282 has come to a close. And as an additional project this year, I'd really like to start making some more dwarven bedrooms. And so I planned up a few more down here, just kind of surrounding our meeting hall. And after these are all dug out and nicened up, we'll have 80 dwarven bedrooms. Not that we should be putting any serious thought into expansion during our current crisis, but we're gonna want to grow at some point, so I figure, what the hell, might as well do it now, before more dwarves show up, right? And of course we are still working on our entry hall here, which is almost completed, just a few additional touches, as well as a tower of memories, which is almost above the treetops, just a little bit left to go on that before we could start construction at the top. And I still really don't have any good plans for that, but we'll see what happens. Oh, and we may have run into a bit of a problem here. If we look down in the well, we can see that it has frozen, and so the dwarves can't drink from it anymore, which is a huge problem. Alright, let's see. Now the dwarves know that their alcohol might be poisoned, and so that's why they've been drinking that water. They do truly believe Moses, but they also have to drink, so I'm willing to bet that they're going to risk it and try to drink this alcohol. We can't be without any drinks at all. That's just insane. Oh, but would you look at that? I forgot our winters are extremely short, and so it looks like the water had just all unfrozen. Ooh, sorry dwarves, that was looking a bit hopeful there for a second. I'm sure at this point all the dwarves would gladly risk being poisoned. But no, we have to go a little bit longer. It is the 24th of Opal right now, 282 midwinter, and so we are quickly approaching the 1 year mark of no alcohol. Man, these dwarves, I'll tell ya, bunch of brave souls. That being said, I still haven't seen any sort of vampiric activity, nothing whatsoever, and so I don't think the well plan is working at all. That spike that was under the goblin here is no longer functioning, and if he won't move into an adjacent spot with a spike, then we're not going to be able to release any more of his blood into the water. And he's been sitting in this corner now for a very long time, and I don't think he's planning on moving. Damn shame. Moses has been patiently biding his time to try to get this plan into action, but for the time being it does not seem to be working whatsoever. And so I have to imagine he's going to start running out of patience. However, I'm not too sure what that means. Guess we'll have to see. Ooh, uh-oh. Looks like we have a dwarf here throwing a tantrum. It's our animal trainer, of course. It was just a quick one, it looks like, but we can't risk that, unfortunately. Urvad, I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to throw you out of here. It's a damn shame because it seems like she's a nice dwarf, and I really wish things could have worked out better, but all it takes is one tantrum to get another dwarf killed. And you know, that dwarf could be related to another dwarf who would then be very upset, and then they could throw a tantrum, so on and so forth. Yeah, that's not something we need here in the fortress. It's just for the best. You know, I just realized something. It is the 17th of Granite, 283 now, and the dwarves never showed up last year, which is a little concerning. Why the hell would that be? There was no sign of them. That's very odd, and terrible actually, because they've pretty much been the source of all of our food here in the fortress. Well, that's no goddamn good. Not too sure what the deal is, but that doesn't seem like a good sign. I hope everyone's alright. In other distressing news, we have this dwarf over here. It's a child named Obak, and they're currently going through a strange mood. And they have almost everything they need, I believe, but they still need some tanned hides. And so we're butchering up some of our cats and trying to tan their hides just to give them enough, but it's taking a while. And he keeps wanting more and more leather. Obak here is the child of one of our mechanics, Id, as well as our chief medical dwarf, Mafal. And they had lost a child a couple years back due to a strange mood. I'm just hoping we don't have a repeat here. Let's see, he's grabbing one last piece of leather, and that's still not enough, damn it. Alright, I'm just going to town. I'm gonna butcher all of our, well, not all of them, but a bunch of our cats. Keep tanning, dwarves. This kid already has 3 pieces of leather and 2 pieces of wood. I just don't know how much more leather he needs, and it's already been a while. He could go insane at any second now. It's a bit worrisome, really. Oh, and there he goes, grabbing another piece of leather. Oh my god, and the kid still needs more? This is crazy. Ah, there we are. Thankfully, he finally got enough leather. Man, I'm not too sure what this kid's making, but this artifact is going to be absolutely covered with cat leather. And there we have it. Obak Lularthakut, the dwarven child, has created Ainul Dobesh, a sand pear wood puzzle box. He claims it as an heirloom in the name of the family ancestor Mafal Elderquake, his mother, our chief medical dwarf. Pretty cool, let's have a look. Mirrored Crazy, an interesting name, and it's worth 13,000, which is pretty respectable. This is a sand pear wood puzzle box. All craft workmanship is of the highest quality. It is decorated with cat leather and encircled with bands of cat leather and giant cave spider silk. This object menaces with spikes of sand pear wood. On the item is an image of Bax Hated Neutral, the dwarf, and a goblin in sand pear wood. The goblin is striking down the dwarf, which relates to an event that happened here in the barricaded Murk in the year 269. Interesting. Also on the item is an image of the Basin of Tarnish, our artifact steel battle axe, in cat leather, as well as an image of dwarves in cat leather. The dwarves are laboring, relating to the founding of Honeystoker in the year 272. Very cool. Quite an interesting item here. Very complex. I have to say, I'm a fan. Very good work, kid. That's pretty amazing, really. In fact, I'm fairly certain that artifact was the second most valuable in the fortress. Just amazing. Well, having a look here, it is the 22nd of Felsight 283, late spring. And so that means at this point the dwarves have gone an entire year without access to alcohol, which really is something. Honestly, I thought they'd be a little bit more crabby at this point, but they seem to be doing relatively fine. Although that being said, I noticed some of the dwarves seem to be working slower than usual, and I'm not sure if that's related or what. Like this miner here, he's an accomplished miner, but still it's taking him a very long time to get anything done. Yeah, I suppose there could be a connection there. I don't see why else he'd be going so slow. Well, back to our whole trading situation. It looks like the humans have arrived, and so that's good news. We always do good business with them. Actually, last year I forgot to mention it. They did not come with their full wagons, because they could not find their way to the depot. That being mainly due to the amount of trees in the forest surrounding our home. There are a lot out there, and we're trying to deal with that, but we'll get to that in a second. First, we're going to do some trading. And this year we have a ton to trade. A bunch of weapons, a bunch of armor, that sort of stuff. And so I imagine we'll make out pretty well. Although, I suppose the dwarves would do well to remember that we're not sure how far the influence of the goblins extends. Can we trust the humans? I'd like to think so. They haven't done us wrong in the past. Well, I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do. We don't have any real access to food in the fortress. And so I suppose we're going to risk it. This time anyways. And nothing too thrilling here. We're getting a bunch of food from the humans. as well as some books and animals, and in turn we're trading a bunch of copper weapons and armor. We've been very busy making a ton of it, and so this should be a pretty good trade. Yep, there we are. The humans are very happy, and so hopefully they'll bring a lot more next year. I'm sure they will. I'm just really hoping we can trust them. Really, it's kind of a shame to picture these dwarves being so damn paranoid. But what else are they supposed to think? At this point, the dwarves stop showing up, and they've been told that the goblins are somehow infiltrating the surrounding hillocks and poisoning drink supplies. On top of that, it's also a fairly small population of dwarves out in the middle of a horrifying swamp. Oh, and you know, they haven't had alcohol in more than a year. That can't be helping matters. There's also been whispers of people hearing sounds coming out of the well recently. Rumors that I'm sure are just brushed off. Just a bunch of nonsense. Although talk of the haunted well still does remain. And in addition to that, they don't know what to think, and so they're all kind of just waiting to hear back from Moses, just so they can figure out what to do next. Yeah, that'll drive a dwarf crazy real quick. I'm liking that whole idea, honestly. Yeah, I guess I could picture them being a bit paranoid. Perhaps they're all starting to turn wary eyes on one another, too. A very interesting thing. I'll tell you what, I think out of desperation, some of our dwarves have begun butchering the pigs, and we're gonna start making some leather hoods. Out of pig leather. Just kind of in the hope that it will speed up Moses' reply. We have to remember the dwarves aren't thinking 100% straight these days. Oh my goodness, you know what? I just realized it's the 8th of Sandstone. Mid-autumn. We've completely missed the first third of the autumn festival. That's bizarre, but I guess it kind of goes along with our whole starting to go insane thing that we've been working with. Alright, well, I'd still like to have the autumn festival, so let's get to it, dwarves. Drop what you're doing and grab your pigskin hoods, because the time has come. And while we're down here, we're gonna have to keep a careful eye out to see if those dwarves show up. If they don't show up again this year, then we know something is seriously wrong with our civilization. Alright, I forgot earlier about how I was talking about the trees in the forest surrounding our home. Well, if you have a look here, it's very densely forested around this area, and I guess I never noticed it. We haven't really been chopping trees down since the very beginning, but we have to get into that again. Because wagons are not going to be able to make their way through these woods before long, and that's why I've started building this road out here, just to kind of try to aid the merchant's passage. That'll make things a bit easier, I'm hoping. Yet another project we're going to be working on in the fortress here, just kind of in the background. Yeah, the dwarves seem to be enjoying themselves for the most part once more. Even though we're approaching 2 years without alcohol, I thought the fortress would fall apart much worse than this by now, but we're hanging in there pretty alright. Seemingly, anyways. Of course, I don't know how much longer we can go like this. I suppose as long as widespread revolt doesn't start in the fortress, then we should probably keep it up for a while. I just sure hope Moses knows what he's talking about. But that's madness. Of course he knows what he's talking about. Moses is one of the great minds of this world. We have to remember that. Oh, would you look at that? It's the 3rd of Moonstone, early winter. And so the festival has come to a close. Everyone get out, we have to get back to work. Let's do this, dwarves. We have to make sure everything's all set for Moses' arrival. He must be waiting till everything's just perfect. Remember, dwarves, we have to try our best. For Moses. Oh, and you know, I just realized that the dwarves didn't show up again. There was no sign of them. That has to be bad news right there. 2 years without any sign of our civilization. Yeah, that can't be good at all. I mean, just having a quick look at the map here, we're located right here, on this flashing yellow. And just to our north is Standard Worlds, our former capital, which now has a population of about 3,000 goblins. And then over to the west here, we have a bunch of hillocks, who have populations of about 60 to 70. And then up here, far to the northwest, we have Waterkeeper, with a population of about 200, and a couple more tiny hillocks. And then down here, far to the south, we have Pick Syrups and Lobster Crypts, with populations of 200 and 100. Our civilization is completely scattered across the Eternal Realms, and we really don't have a focal point, while the goblins have multiple huge cities. That's kind of crazy, really. It's only a matter of time now before they spot us. And when they do, well, things aren't going to look too great, I don't think. That's alright, Moses is going to figure something out. I'm sure he will. He seems very resourceful. Alright, we're having a look up top here, and it looks like the water has frozen up once more. But it should only be a brief thing, I'm thinking. Just like last year. And, oh, that's pretty interesting, actually. It looks like our goblin friend down in the well has moved slightly. And I don't really know why that would be, because he's been in that one corner for, like, years at this point. But I suppose while he's moved, we can start, agitating the water once more, and see if we can get any results. That'd be pretty interesting, right? Alright, we'll just have a dwarf come over here and pull this lever, repeatedly right now, please. And now we'll watch. Okay, that seems to be doing something right there. Oh yeah, that's definitely working. It's just that we still have that ice in the middle, and I'm not sure if that's going to end up blocking the blood. Oh, and you know what? I'm noticing too that it looks like these spikes are breaking. Well, that's not great. Oh, and the ice is gone. Okay, so that's something. Yeah, it looks like, having a look here, 3 more of the wooden spikes have broken. So that means we only have half of the original wooden spikes left. Ugh, that's not fantastic. Really starting to lose hope that this well is ever going to start working like how we want it to. And on top of that, it looks like the goblin has stopped moving as well. Well, it's a damn shame right there. Oh, no, he is still moving. Okay, and I think he just got stabbed again. Well, it's good to see him moving around a bit. Maybe that'll kind of help stir the blood around a bit more. Well, goblin, I'll leave you to it for now. Hoping for the best. And let's see, other than that, we're having a look around. And our entryway is now completed, which is pretty cool. Looking up from here, it's kind of hard to picture, but the whole thing kind of slants in towards the top, and it is multiple Z levels tall. The first of many above ground structures. Hopefully. Still pecking away at this road out to the west. That should be done before the year's up. Down here to the south, you can see the Tower of Memories, which now reaches above the treetops. And so we are in the early stages of trying to get the top finished. Still a ways to go on that. And let's see. Ah yes, our latest batch of pig leather hoods are coming along. Very good, speed it along, dwarves. And, uh-oh, it looks like the well has gone dry. Well, that's no good. We're going to have to fill it back up now. But I should also note that there has been blood in the direct center of this well for a while now. Although it is just a spattering. I'm not sure if it has to be more than that in order to infect dwarves, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. And seeing as how the well isn't currently functioning, I suppose we have to fill it back up, which I think will wash away this blood, which really kind of stinks. But there's nothing we can do about it. Just gonna pull this lever once more. And there we go. Very good. And looking down in the well, it looks to have washed away that blood. Damn it. Yeah, I'm not sure if this configuration is gonna work. I guess we'll just have to give it a little more time, just to make sure there was no effect. Well, anyways, once again, the well is all filled up, so feel free to get a drink, dwarves. Man, this is getting ridiculous. I don't think the dwarves are going to put up with this much longer. It's the 3rd of Slate, mid-spring, so at this point it's nearly been 2 full years without alcohol, which for a dwarf is pretty ridiculous. I mean, the dwarves might be crazy paranoid at this point, but they're not totally crazy. Yeah, I'm thinking they're going to start risking it very soon. It's been a long damn time since they had a nice drink, with no word from Moses whatsoever. Couldn't say I'd blame him. Back up here to our entryway, and we can see here that the humans have arrived once more. An extremely welcome sight, because they are at this point our only source of food, besides like pig meat that we can produce here in the fortress, or honey of course. Yeah, they're a bunch of lifesavers. You know, we've been wary of the humans ever since we received those messages from Moses, but maybe we should tone it down a notch at this point. I mean, we kind of have to rely on them for any sort of food, and they certainly don't seem hostile or anything. I mean, if they wished us ill, then they could just destroy our fortress with their caravan guards. We're not very well defended here. I mean, yeah, it's been 2 full years now without a drink or word from Moses, so I really don't think the dwarves are going to be following his orders for that much longer. Not at this point. I'd hate to think they'd start doubting him, but what are they to think? Yeah, maybe we should start toning it down a bit. We haven't even seen the goblins this whole time. Yeah, you know what, dwarves? Let's do it. Damn the goblins. If this kills us, then hell, so be it. There you go. Have at it, dwarves. Let's all enjoy a well-deserved drink. Our first in over 2 years. I'd also like to take this time to point out the fact that I'm doing some elaborate role-playing here. You may have noticed. And it gets pretty difficult to try to make a vampire fortress, while also trying to roleplay as a group of unsuspecting dwarves. You know? And so that's kind of why I'm jumping around all over the place when it comes to this vampire stuff. Up to this point, I've been trying to get the fortress into a stable state for when we do finally become vampires, which I believe we've done now. And upon trying to implement the whole vampire thing, well, it doesn't seem to have worked at all. And so I figure it's for the best if we just allow the dwarves to drink alcohol again, you know? It'll just be one more thing to help them keep nice and stable. Anyways, that's enough talk of that for now. Back to fortress life, as it should be lived, in a drunken stupor. Yeah, I'll tell you, feels good to be a proper dwarven fortress once more. Well, would you look at that? It looks like the dwarven wagons have returned. Well, that is something, I'll tell you. We've seen no sign of our civilization in the past couple years, so wow, that is really a relief. But even more importantly, I'm hoping they brought some good booze. And you know what? I'm sure they did. I'm pretty sure it'll be safe to drink, too. We've been drinking regular alcohol now for a while, and we haven't seen any sort of ill effects from the dwarves at all. So, it makes you a little bit suspicious about Moses, doesn't it? Sure, it could still be possible that he knows something we don't, but it just seems strange, doesn't it? Well, no matter. At this point, we could just have another drink and forget about that whole situation. Cheers, dwarves! to the scraped chambers, to Honeystoker. Yeah, by all accounts, everything seems completely normal with the traders. They've brought no news of goblin attacks or anything. I still don't know why they haven't showed up in 2 years, but it doesn't seem like anything we have to worry about. Just a strange coincidence, I guess. Oh, and you know what? I just noticed once again that it is mid-autumn, the 15th of Sandstone, in fact. But you know what? I think the dwarves are in such high spirits this year that we're not going to even bother with an autumn festival. The fortress is just so alive at the moment. All the dwarves are happy, going about their business, plenty to drink, plenty to eat, and the prospects for the future are looking fantastic. Yeah, you know, having things go back to a relative state of normality like they are right now just makes everything seem right in the world. Dwarves, I think the time has come to increase our population. Our small fortress here is fortunate to be in the state that it's in, and it seems like a damn shame to just keep it all to ourselves. The goblins will certainly notice us, but with an increased population we'll be better able to defend ourselves against those goblins. I'm thinking this whole time maybe Moses was just a bit out of touch. Sure, we do owe the guy for all he's done for us, but he doesn't know what it's like out here. Maybe he just thinks the goblins are a bit more dangerous than they are. Clearly our booze is fine to drink, and so we went 2 years without drinking for nothing. Maybe the time has come to remove our pig hoods and to increase our population. Maybe tiny Kruggsmash out here in the swamp could be the future capital of the Scraped Chambers, and maybe we could bring the fight to the goblins. Very exciting. Yes, the future looks bright, dwarves, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Come 285, our gates will swing wide to a host of new dwarves, and problems that we will face together. And that sounds like a marvelous idea. As for the whole goblin poisoning theory, well, it seems like we'll just have to throw it out the window. Not too sure what's become of Moses these days, but I'm still hoping that one day he does show up so we can ask him what exactly happened. I'd really just like the whole thing cleared up, honestly. But I suppose we'll cross that bridge when we get there, now won't we? As for us dwarves, we have to make sure everything is in order for when the new migrants arrive. 285 is going to be a big year, with lots of changes. Be excited, dwarves, because this is just the beginning. Well, you bearded bastards, I really hope you enjoyed watching this episode, and because I haven't said it in a while, I'm just gonna mention that I really appreciate you watching every week. Just knowing that there's so many of you guys out there eagerly waiting to watch each of these episodes, I'll tell you, really gets me going. I'd be nothing without you fellas. Thank you for joining me, and I certainly hope to see you again next week, here in Kruggsmash, Honeystoker. And until then, you bearded bastards,